I just wanted to let you guys know before we started today's video that I have new merch. This is the ugly sweater that I ended up designing. It's a little bit pricey, but unfortunately that's just kind of the cost of it being an all over print product. But either way, I just wanted to show you guys that it exists, let you know that there is a 10% off coupon right now that's going to last for the end of the month. And the sweater itself is limited time, so it is going to end up disappearing come January. But I'll probably end up throwing it into the store next year. What's up, Scyushi Squad? We are back to more Trove, and today we're tackling the 45k series with ya boy, the Neon Ninja. Now, I'm sorry that this video is so late today. I planned on having it come out earlier, but I'm not gonna lie, the new season of Fortnite has kept me absolutely enthralled. It's a lot of fun. So what we're gonna be doing today is I'm gonna be taking you guys in U11, probably just U11 Sundered Uplands, right? There's not much point in doing Geode Surface anymore. Let me know in the comments if you guys actually want to see Geode Surface, but generally speaking, Sundered Uplands is the most difficult biome in the game right now because the enemies are just so high scaled, versus Geode Surface U11 is kind of a joke because the enemies actually take like more damage based on more light. It's weird, like pretty much everything is affected by light nowadays, but at the very least that's just kind of what happens with the end game of Geode Surface. So for those of you that don't know and haven't been keeping up to date with all of the changes over time, Neon Ninja is actually a lot stronger than it used to be, not only just because of the crystal ring and so on and so forth, but also just a general buff has gone across the board to the class, which is looking like I'm clearly missing something here. Probably an ally or something, right? Let me double check. Okay, so there is multiple options. We could be using the Paragon ally Ernie. I think that the Cobra is also going to end up being a pretty decent one for the movement speed and stuff, but we're just going to be using the animated Jug because I don't have any of the Paragon, or not Paragon, sorry, the Celestial Star Chart allies. Like those allies seem to be some of the absolute best in the game. So that should probably end up making all the difference because frankly speaking, I didn't have the right ally on, so we should be like considerably stronger now, hopefully. I want to also keep in mind I don't actually have a good crystal ring on this guy, so just so you guys know that this damage could end up being even more substantial. Yeah, you can see now we're actually doing pretty big chonko damage. It's not fantastically great, but at the very least it is still going to hit pretty hard. And you got to consider that I am also not using a flask. Normally you would be, but we just don't really need to. And if you can sacrifice the physical damage, I would take Zealous, just because then you can basically just spam backflip, use a flask, you've got your backflip back. So what we're going to be doing is going through 5 minutes of this while I kind of just give you guys some comparable numbers. Let me actually swap to my proper martial emblem. But I wanted to kind of let you guys know, how does this class end up faring? Well, I know a lot of you guys already know this, but Neon Ninja is the fastest class in the game. So in terms of speed farming, it's perfectly fine. You know, we've got the movement speed, and if we pop a flask, we got a decent amount of damage, but Neon Ninja is kind of at the point right now where the only thing that's lacking on it, let's say, in terms of speed farming, is just that other classes might kill faster than the Neon Ninja now, which does end up meaning that, okay, well, when I'm in this dungeon, like just tit for tat, I'm going to end up defeating this boss a lot quicker on my Shadow Hunter than I do on my Neon Ninja, just as a little example. But me traveling from one dungeon to another is going to more than make up for that, just in terms of the speed that this class has, like the sheer veracity of it, right? So the only thing that kind of lacks with this guy is going to end up being delves, and obviously it's not going to be a boss killer, because if we're already struggling with bosses in Sundered Uplands, well then, that's kind of, yeah. The other thing too, you know what, I keep forgetting, I want to test out, because they've also buffed like crazy the ultimate of the Neon Ninja, and I don't know whether or not it's actually like something that we should bother using. So let's use our ult right now. Yeah, it still doesn't seem to be very good. What if I pop a flask? Then it's okay. But unfortunately, Trove is still a broken mess of a video game, and so half of our attacks just don't register. That's unfortunate. Really unfortunate, because otherwise Neon Ninja could actually be pretty good with its ult. I mean, honestly, I didn't really expect its ult to be any good, and turns out I'm proven right. So the other thing too is that obviously if I ended up not only having a good crystal ring, which would end up substantially increasing my damage, but on top of that, we would also end up having a hidden ring effect, which I'm not using today, but it doesn't really matter that much. Just consider the fact that we would be clearing things a little bit faster. So if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think Clone Jutsu, which has a typo actually, I think this one is one of the best ones. So clone created by your backflip explodes at the end of its duration. Good job, devs. That one's a really good one. Recharge, gain energy when you dodge, which is also a really, really good one just in terms of recharging energy while you're doing Neon Ninja things. Come to think of it, I don't even have a single Paragon level on this guy, so I can't even get another ring if I wanted to. Huh. Anyways, we'll hop into the delves just so that I can show you guys some comparisons. We're not going to be doing a super duper deep delve or anything. It depends which portal ends up actually generating for me. 136. That's usually what we end up doing. Kind of just the standard. I am using all of my gems from my Shadow Hunter as well. I just want you guys to know that, because I'm not necessarily using... Hello? I'm not necessarily using all of the best gear absolutely possible on this guy. But that doesn't necessarily take away from the video, okay? I know that some of you guys are gonna yell at me and say like, oh, you should be absolutely optimal and showing, you know, with the hidden ring effect and all that stuff. It doesn't really matter, because I know enough about this game and I know enough about this character that I can just give you guys the realistic comparisons. Now, hopefully we ended up getting pretty lucky with this delve, because that's what kind of happens with the delves, is that unfortunately sometimes it just generates really, really poorly. However, I'm pretty confident on 136 is probably a joke, like in terms of a floor's difficulty. Okay, no, it's actually comparable for this guy. But that's also just because, haha, we are Neon Ninja. We do not deal that much damage to these more resistant enemies. But the main objective is to defeat the mini boss. Most of all, I want to see how Neon Ninja is going to fare against the actual boss character. Now, the other thing too is that you gotta consider, this is kind of the main thing that I like to talk about and address when we're doing these 45k videos and so on and so forth, is because lots of people will be like, well, you know, what, you're not doing this optimally, so how can you compare this class to another class? Well, because I already just know from experience that Shadowhunter, for example, would end up just handling this a lot better. There you are. Just because of the class being like so super powerful. And on top of all of that, just like looking at this right here, you can see we are doing actually a pretty decent amount of like raw damage numbers. You can see are pretty dang high. But the problem is more so that we're just not really keeping up, you know, like there's it's just not really doing it for me, you know, like maybe if I could pin him against the wall or something. The point is that with very, very, very comparable stats on my Shadowhunter or even a Solarian or something, we would just be doing significantly more damage. That's just how it is. I don't even have 100% crit hit, do I? Yeah, we're pretty close. I mean, my stats should end up being pretty okay anyways, just because they're the same stats that I had on your boy Shadowhunter. But yeah, I'm a little bit flabbergasted here. I'm a little bit surprised at the lack of boss killing that this guy is. Now, granted, you can end up snaring bosses, which does keep them at bay, which is very, very useful as an ability that's going to end up just making you like very, very survivability, right? And you might notice, okay, well, how come you're not taking any damage? Now, that is actually because of the there is one skill in particular out of the skill tree that I'll show you guys in a minute here. Just, it's the life leech one, and it's kind of a mandatory one that you have to get along the way of unlocking the different light abilities. But the thing that we've got right now, the main stat that we've got out of the skill tree is just movement speed. Movement speed, movement speed, movement speed. We got a lot of extra movement speed on your boy, and it definitely helps. Like if I end up just right clicking and popping a flask, we're already sitting at 147 movement speed. That seems a bit... No, I got movement speed on all my gear. Why am I not as fast as I should be? Right click, it brought me to 221 or something. What was that? It showed it for a split second there. But anyways, my point is we are a speedy boy, so those damage numbers are lying to me. Increase attack speed, and then this is the one that ends up giving you life leech. So we are basically invincible and getting the same ability that we would get from using the life leech allies, but now we just have it as a passive ability. And then of course, you know, there's all these other abilities that we got that slowly increase our damage and so on, but also just the movement speed, and there's extra attack speed and flash and whatever else. I'm slowly working my way through getting through this skill tree, but it's very, very time gated and very, very gross. Anyways, though, I hope that you guys ended up finding that as a comparable video so that you could see about the true end game of the Neon Ninja. I think that it's safe to say that it is never going to be a boss killer. Neon Ninja is speed. It is the best dungeon farmer in the game, period. But unfortunately, it does lack for both bosses and just delves and general damage as well. Now, that said, how is the class going to end up faring versus the other classes? Well, other classes might end up doing certain things a little bit better. It doesn't necessarily mean that you should avoid the Neon Ninja. Especially now with the skill tree, you can see how easily you can get more survivability on the class. And the fact that we can snare bosses will actually be beneficial towards the entire group, so long as they don't have their own life leech, just because of life leech being so powerful. Or, you know, if you're on a slower character, life leech isn't gonna make as big of a deal. But either way, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. And I'm sorry that it's so late today. Smash like, sub for more, buy the merch you want to support the channel. And have a wonderful day, everybody.